שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. שבת אחים גם יחד.
Erev Tov, not Shabbat Shalom, Yom Tov, good Yom Tov to us all. On behalf of Bet David Stanton, Bet Menorah Pretoria, and Bet David Durban, we welcome you to our Sukkot service this evening. This sermon tonight will be delivered by Rabbi Elisheva Salamo, who will join us live from San Francisco. Should anyone wish to sponsor a Shabbat service to celebrate a Simcha, or simply to support the congregation, please contact the Shul office. Festive candles will be lit tonight by Ruth Jordan in the Jordan Family Sukkah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Yom Tov.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. אמן. אמן.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Amen. Time. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow congregants, we're all dependent on time. We make our arrangements according to the clock. For example, I've got to fetch the children at 2 o'clock. For example, I've got a visitor coming at 3. For example, I've got a doctor's appointment in the morning at 11. Our day-to-day lives revolve around our arrangements. We've actually just lived through the times of another kind. These have defined our lifestyle and our thinking in various ways. Thus, we spend 2 days on Rosh Hashanah, a month on the month of Elul prior to Rosh Hashanah, and we're about to spend a week on Sukkot. These periods call for certain adjustments to our lifestyle. Parameters have been set as per past conventions of our lawgivers, of our prophets. One set runs into another. The serious from Yom Kippur to the joyful of Sukkot. There's a reason for this. We're now changing our mindset to joyous, light-hearted fun, and we're thanking the Almighty for all the bountiful gifts that our religion caters for, and for all the circumstances whereby we can be light-hearted and enjoying the moment without the seriousness of the high holy days. So, enjoy Sukkot, everybody, as an antithesis of Yom Kippur, and with its own circumstances and conventions, and remember what our religion calls for, tolerance for others, thanks to God for all that He has done for us. We now turn to page 389, in the middle. Tonight, let our shelters be strung with the finest fruits of creation: love, fertility, prosperity, wisdom. Let us promise to feed the hungry. Let our harvesting bring peace. Can you see that this little verse is a combination of the two types of prayers which I just referred to? The serious and the light-hearted and thankful kind of prayer. That is our religion, a little bit of both. We turn now to page 392 for the Chatzi Kaddish. Yitkadav v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah Birma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayeichon u'v'yomeichon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'yimaru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach Leolam ul'olmeh Olmaya Yitbarach Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yithadar V'yitalel V'yitalal Shmei Dekudesha Brichu Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'olma v'imeru. Amen. Page 393. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of the withered leaf, or unripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Let my day today be as the one before, lest routine set my ways. The one before, what we're referring there to is a little bit of thinking, a little bit different, not mechanical, not taking for granted. We turn now to page 394 and join the choir in the singing of Baruch Hu. 29:6. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, בחוכמה פותח שערים, ובתבונה משנה עתים ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה גולל אור מפני חושך, וחושך מפני אור, ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים. Here again there are references to time. Time seems to be endemic in our background. There's night, there's day, there's dark, there's light, all encompassed in this prayer. Page 399. Page 397 at the foot. The colors of early evening blend and deepen, allowing new lights to be seen, twinkling through the branches, the promise that in darkness, new light will be revealed. As we turn to page 398. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amacha, Ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadata. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, b'shochbeinu u'v'kumeinu, nasiach b'chukecha. V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu v'orech yameinu, u'vahem nege yomam v'lala. Ve'avatecha, al tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. The Shema intoned by the choir.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam va'ed.
We momentarily stop and think about this last holiday, this holiday of returning to the divine in love. And this is really our opportunity once again to remember that as the loved one turns to us, so we return and turn also to the loved one. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך. ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם את קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. We continue with Mi Chamocha, the opportunity to once again, in our love for God, turn ourselves to look out at all the seas we have crossed and say, wow, you've been with us this whole time.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדע בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה לי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, Baruch Ata Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. And now we have the beautiful words of Ecclesiastes. L'chol zman va'et, u'l'chol chefetz tachat hashamayim. There is a season for everything and a time for every purpose under heaven. We return to the protection. This is now a time for
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom, Leshalom, Ve'amidenu Malkeinu Lechaim, Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha, Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha. Amen. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom, Leshalom, Ve'amidenu Malkeinu Lechaim, Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha, Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha. Amen.
ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך, והושיענו למען שמך, ויגן בעדנו, והסר מעלינו אויב דבר וחרב ורעב ויעלון, והרחק ממנו עוון ופשע, certainly the plague, ובצל כנפיך תסירנו, כי אל שומרנו מצילנו אתה, כי אל חנון ורחום אתה, ושמור צאתנו בואנו לחיים ולשלום, מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו, ועל כל עמו ישראל, ועל ירושלים.
וידבר משה את מועדי אדוני אל בני ישראל
We now enter into our special evening prayers. If you're used to using our prayer book, you need to be now in the festival section, which is actually, we're going to begin on page 471. And we have the blessings for the Sukkah, for this lovely holiday, where we are told to rejoice. And I'm going to talk at the end about the whole issue of taking something that's good and rejoicing with it. And so you'll see some little shifts and changes in our traditional wording that remind us of this time of joy. We begin with the choir welcoming us by asking us to open our lips.
Adonai, Sefatai Tiftachu fi Agitei Latecha. Adonai, Sefatai Tiftachu fi Agitei Latecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah.
Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechayeh kol atarav lehoshia. Mashiva ruach umorit hagashem mazriah hashemesh umorit hatal. Mechakel chayim bechesed, mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofer cholim umatir asurim. Umkayem emunato lishanei afar. Mi chamocha bal gevurot. Umido melach melech memit. Umechayeh umatzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman atah L'hachayot hakol baruch atah me'Adonai mechayeh hakol. What could be more holy than being outdoors in the beauty of the world and looking at the stars? That great expanse across the sky of points of light that are knowable because we understand what they are and are yet obscure, that affect our lives and yet have nothing to do with us, whose light comes to us from so long ago and so far away, we almost can't conceive of it. And all the more so when we look at the stars, can we think about the divine, whose light comes to us from so long ago and so spiritually far away, and yet gives us joy, gives us hope, and shares with us love. So we turn to the blessing for holiness. This is on page 474. Ata kadosh, u'shimcha kadosh, u'kdoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch ata Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
Ata berchatanu mikol ha'amim, ahavta otanu v'ratzita banu, ורוממתנו מכל הלשונות, וקידשתנו במצוותיך, וקרבתנו מלכנו לעבודתך, לעבודתך, ושמך הגדול והקדוש עלינו קראת.
ותיתן לנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה מועדים לשמחה, חגים וזמנים לששון, את יום חג הסוכות הזה, זכר שמחותינו, מקרא קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. Thank you for giving us this memory of our happiness and for bringing it forth unto us on this holy day, in this holy time of Sukkot, of sitting and blessing and being together with our ancestors, with our friends, and with the future in our beautiful Sukkot. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, ya'aleh v'yavo, v'yizacher zichronenu b'zichron kol amcha beit Yisrael lefanecha letova ulechen ulechesed rachamim lechaim uleshalom v'yom chag hasukot hazeh. Zochreinu Adonai Eloheinu bo letova. Ufokteinu vo livracha. Voshienu vo lechayim tovim. Bestow upon us, O Holy One, the blessing of your holy festivals, and may we so celebrate them as to be worthy of that blessing. Our God and God of our ancestors, make us holy with your mitzvot, and let your Torah be our way of life. May our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. Let your holy festivals remain our heritage, ours and our children's, and our grandchildren's, and our great-grandchildren. Ad Ein Sof, forever and ever. And let us celebrate them with love and favor and joy, so that all Israel, hallowing your name, may have cause to rejoice. I love that if we are celebrating in joy, then all the rest of Israel has cause to rejoice. All the more so must we be joyful on this holiday, so that in those corners where there is not so much joy, we can spread the light of our own beauty. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh Yisrael v'hazmanim. Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu be'amcha Yisrael, u'filatam be'avat tikabel, u'tiratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha, El karov lekol ko'av, Fana el avadecha v'chanenu, Shepov ruchecha aleinu, V'techezenu einenu v'shuvcha l'tzion b'rachamim, Baruch ata Adonai, Hamachazir Shchinato l'tzion. No, Dalecha. Know to yourself that each and every shepherd has a unique melody of her own. Know this, that every blade of grass has a unique song of its own. And from the song of the grass comes the melody of the shepherd. Kama yafa, kama yafa. How beautiful and pleasant it is when one hears their song. It's very good to pray among them and enjoy to serve the ineffable. And from the song of the grass, the heart becomes filled with longing. And when the heart is filled with song and with longing for Eretz Yisrael, a great light goes forth from the holiness of the land upon it. And from the song of the grass comes the melody of the heart. Continue in gratitude. Modim anachnu lach shetahu Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu le'olam va'ed tzur chayenu magen yishenu atahu ledor v'ador nodeh lecha nesaper tilatecha al chayenu hamsurim biadecha ve'al mishmotenu hafkudot lecha ve'al nisecha shebechol yom imanu ve'al niflotecha v'tuvotecha shebechol et Erev boker utzohorayim. Atov kilo chalu rachamecha, amrachem kilo tamu chasadecha, meolam kivinu lach.
Ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, yiparach ve'yitromam, yiparach ve'yitromam, shimcha malkeinu tamid le'olam va'ed. V'chol ha'chaim yaduch ha'sela v'yalelu et shimcha ve'emet ha'el yeshuateinu ve'ezrateinu Selah. Ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, yiparach ve'yitromam, yiparach ve'yitromam, shimcha malkeinu tamid le'olam va'ed.
Baruch ata Adonai hatov shimcha ulecha na'es lehodot. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam, ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom, v'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael, bechol et ubechol sha'a bishlomecha. Baruch ata Adonai, haborech et amo Yisrael, shalom. I invite you to a few moments of silent meditation, may turn to a place in the book or open up the prayer of your heart. Hold your dear ones to you. Ask for favor in this time of great holiness. And we'll join together in a few moments with the beauties of our choir.
Elohai netzor לשנים מרע ושפתיים מדבר ממה ונמכר אליי נפשי תדום ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה אלוהי אלוהי נצור לשנים מרע ושפתיים מדבר במה ונמכר אליי נפשי תדום ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה אלוהי נצור לשנים מרע ושפתיים מדבר במה ונמכר אליי נפשי תדום ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה פתח ליבי ושפתיים מדבר ממה ונמכר אליי נפשי תדום ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה אלוהי נצור לשונים מרע ושפתיים מדבר ממה ונמכר אליי נפשי תדום ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה
יהיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני
Page 571. Here we have the Lulav and the Etrog, and we say the traditional brachot. Hoshia et amecha, uvarech et nachalatecha, ureem v'nas'em ad ha'olam, v'samachta b'chagecha, v'hayita ach sameach. We will go up, we will go north, south, east, west, and we will go up and down while we say the bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishtanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al natilat lulav. It's done in all directions, showing that God is everywhere. And together, Shechianu, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Amen. Okay, everyone.
Thank you, Reb David, for bringing us the beauty of our Lulav for the first time at this season. And tonight I want to talk with you just briefly about the etrog, which is so interesting. You know, it doesn't actually say take an etrog. It says bring pri etz hadar. And hadar means goodly or beautiful. And so it makes some sense, yes, that we should bring the fruit of a beautiful tree, or maybe it's the beautiful fruit of a tree. And yet it's not actually specified which kind of tree, because there's no tree that we can identify that is called the Hadar tree. And so Sukkot has at its heart a little mystery, and a beautiful mystery. Because, as I'm sure you know, the rabbis mapped the etrog and the lulav onto our bodies. Of course, the tall part, the palm branch, sorry, it's very hard to do this in one dimension. I'll just stop trying. The palm branch represents our spine, right? The tall part, and our etrog is the heart, the part of us that is shaped like an etrog, that is a little wrinkled, a little uncertain, but is always there. And the heart is, of course, very good, as is the etrog. Now, let's talk for a moment about what it means to be good, because I don't know if any of you have ever tasted an etrog, but to my taste buds, they're close, but not really too close to olives that haven't been cured. Uncured olives are the bitterest things I have ever tasted in my life. And as a scientist, I will admit to having inadvertently tasted a number of fairly unpleasant things, the key word here being inadvertent, but splashes happen. And olives are above and beyond everything. The etrog comes close. It's got a bitterness to its sourness that transcends the lemon or the lime, and certainly the pomelo, from which I think it is originally descended. There were not so many citrus fruits around in ancient times. In fact, the citrus comes from Central Asia, and it is quite remarkable that we have etrogim mentioned, but we do, as the early references to them come even from Bar Kokhba. So we're now talking about the 1st century. They must have been well established, this Eitz Hadar, this beautiful tree, because he makes sure that etrogim are given to all of his soldiers. Bar Kokhba was running the revolt against the Romans in the years after the destruction of the temple, which he lost. So we have this very ancient fruit that has been used, and there's some connection numerically. The words pri etz hadar, if you take apart all the letters and correspond them with their position in the Hebrew alphabet, give you the same number as 600 as the word etrogim, which is the plural for our fruit. So that could well prove that this is what it is. But I want to posit another piece for you, because one of the things that the rabbis say is that because the tree is good and the fruit is good, that they are both good to taste. Now, we generally do not eat trees. We might use parts of bark to flavor things like the cinnamon. We might use leaves like bay, again, as spices, or berries like pepper. But we don't eat the tree itself. And so it's very interesting that the rabbis should say, oh, this tree tastes like the fruit, and therefore the whole is goodly, unlike other fruits which taste different from their trees. Again, think about cherry bark. If you've had a cherry soda, and the cherries, there's a similarity, but there's an acridness to the bark that there isn't in the cherry itself. And so we have this fruit that is heart-shaped and bitter and tastes like its tree. Now, there's also the possibility that this was the original fruit that was the tree of knowledge. And that was because Eve looks at the tree and she sees that the tree is good for eating, not that the fruit is good for eating. And so some of the rabbis connect the Etz Hadar with the tree of knowledge. And I'm going to say, if what we are doing is following our hearts, that there is a way in which the heart is intimately attached to this notion of bringing knowledge into the world. So we have our etrog, which is shaped like the heart, which tastes like the tree, which is bitter, and which is connected somehow with knowledge. This is indeed the case, and we are aware of this kind of especially at this time of year when we've just had our opportunity to say Yizkor, the bitterness and the sweetness of remembering those who have moved on into the next world, having given us life and blessing. We think about all of the things that we have done, and you still have, by the way, 8 days. If you haven't apologized to somebody, you can use these last few days to make that effort, where we've been looking at ourselves and feeling that we could be a little bit better. There's a little bitterness in the sweetness of being accepted, in our sorrow that our hearts didn't always lead us along the right paths, that we might have gone astray. And we have our hearts turning once again towards the joy and the beauty of living in the Sukkah. But as you know, the Sukkah is tentative, and there is the possibility that things might come in, or that a wall might blow down, or that the skach might not provide you with enough protection from the rain that we will soon be praying for in the Northern Hemisphere. And so we have this connection of the sweetness, the goodliness of the tree, the goodliness of the heart, the goodliness of knowledge that recognizes both the bitter and the sweet. And that those are both parts of our lives, that we incorporate. It is as if when we finally eat the etrog jam, which I make when we collect our friends' etrogim, we make a marmalade-y kind of jam and spread it on our challah after the holiday, that we are combining our hopes with the reality of the world, that there can be sad things and difficult things, and that what is constant is that heart that beats within us and the blessing of hadar, of goodliness, that they come together to remind us on this holiday, and as we move forward, that the world is a place of discovery. The world is a place of goodness, and the world is a place where we cannot always avoid the sharp taste of disappointment or sadness. And we use this tune that was written by Naomi Shemer in our liturgy. It was written because her sister's husband was killed. And it says, it's so beautiful. Al hadbash ve'al ha'oketz al hama ve'hamatok. Yeah. For the honey and the thistle, for the bitter and the sweet, for all these things, we thank you. And so I invite you, as you sit under your Sukkot, as you hold your precious etrogim and your Lulav, as you stare into the eyes of your beloved family, to take heart and remember that at the center is this etrog, this knowledge that the world is both incredibly sweet and filled with complexities that make it a little bitter. But that when you have those things together, when you bring it all in line with the divine, you can sit out under the stars with your friends and your relatives and have a enjoy the happiness. So please bring your etrogim and your hearts and your children to your Sukkot and enjoy the beauty of this holiday.
Please join me in the festival Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar mikol yom ורומנו מכל לשון, וקידשנו במצוותיו, ותתן לנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה מועדים לשמחה, חגים וזמנים לששון את יום חג סוכות הזה. מקרא קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים, כי באנו ובחרת ואותנו קדשת מכל העמים, ומודה קדשך בשמך ובששון, הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש ישראל והזמנים.
ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. We turn now to page 586 for the Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשינו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונה, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים עמה, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום ושבותה לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים עמך, ועל הארץ מתחתינו.
at the foot of page 588. We therefore hope in you, eternal our God. May we soon behold the glory of your might, sweeping away false gods from the earth, that idolatry be completely removed, perfecting the world under the rule of God, that all humanity invoke you, and turning all the wicked of the earth towards you. Page 594, item number 4. Why should I wish to see God better than this day? I see something of God in each hour of the 24, and each moment then. In the faces of men and women I see God, and in my own face in the glass. I find letters from God dropped in the street, and everyone is signed by God's name. And I leave them where they are, for I know that wherever I go, others will punctually come wherever and ever. Return to page 597. As we think of our loved ones, whom death has recently taken from us, as well as those who passed away at this season in years gone by, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. We think of Norma Taylor, mother of Michelle Ross and grandmother of Warren and Stephen Ross. We think of Leanne Wolfson, mother of David, Inga and Janine Wolfson, remembered by Bet Menorah and all who were at Menorah Nursery School during her time as principal. Zichronan Levaracha, may their memories be for blessing, as we turn to Kaddish on page 598.
Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbours have lost, the martyrs of our people, whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We now turn to the Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash may rabbah, ba'ama divra chirutei, v'yamlich machutei, v'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayei dekol Beit Yisrael, ba'gala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yahei shma rabbah min mevarach le'olam ul almei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'a v'yidromam v'yidnaseh v'yidhadal v'yidhalal v'yidhaleh shmeik de kudasha brechu le'ela min kol bichata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata damiran ba'alma v'imru amen. Yahei shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromov hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Thank you, Roy. Thanks to Daron Kanar and our technical desk for taking care of the streaming of the service, and thank you also to those congregants who contributed videos to the service. Our festival service tomorrow morning will be led by Giddy Leaf and starts at 10 a.m. and will be streamed live via YouTube on the usual link. We are very grateful for all donations received over the high holy days. These will be acknowledged in the coming weeks in the Adkan Bulletin. If you have not yet made a donation and wish to do so now, these will be very welcome. Congregants are invited to make an appointment during the week of Sukkot to come to the shul to fulfill the mitzvot of Sukkot, shaking the Lulav, sitting and eating in the Sukkah. Appointments can be made for visits during office hours, 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. from 22 to 28 September. Proof of vaccination is required. For appointments, please call to the shul 783-7117 or email admin2@betavid.org.za. Tea, coffee and biscuits will be on offer. Donations will be very welcome. A decision regarding the opening of services to congregants will be taken this week. We will cross now to the Jordan family Sukkah for the Hamotzi and Sukkah blessings, and will conclude the service with the singing of Adon Olam, page 625. But first of all, the Sukkah Brachot by Janice.
Continue with the blessing under the Sukkah, which you can say with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav vetzivanu leshev b'sukkah. And we conclude with Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Adon olam, Hashem malach, b'terem kol yitzin nivra. Adon olam, leit nasa, b'chet Sukkot, azay melech shemo nikra. Adon olam, Hashem malach, b'terem kol yitzin nivra. Leit nasa, b'chet Sukkot, azay melech shemo nikra. Kikot hakol, nagahado yimlok narahadon olam. V'hu hayah, v'hu hoveh, v'hu yeh b'tifara. Adon olam, Hashem malach, b'terem kol yitzin nivra. Leit nasa, b'chet Sukkot, azay melech shemo nikra. V'hu echad ben Laham shilo lahakbira. Adon olam, b'li rishit, b'li taklit, b'lo azma misra. Adon olam, Hashem malach, b'terem kol yitzin nivra. Leit nasa, b'chet Sukkot, azay melech shemo nikra. V'hu eli, b'chai goli, b'tzur chivli b'etzara. Adon olam, v'hu nisi, v'manos li, v'nat kotzi b'yom mikra. Adon olam, Hashem malach, b'terem kol yitzin nivra. Leit nasa, b'chet Sukkot, azay melech shemo nikra. Avkiruchi beiti shan ve'ayira. Adon olam, ve'imruchi kebiati. Adon ali b'lo'ira. Adon olam, Hashem malach, b'terem kol yitzin nivra. Leit nasa, b'chet Sukkot, azay melech shemo nikra.
In Jewish religion, you're allowed to add to a mitzvah. Can't take away from it, but you can add to it. We have a challah in shul also. So apart from the lovely challah and the bracha made by Janice, we shall be having the Hamotzi again. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. And I'll be announcing a bracha and then we will call on Rabbi. We shall celebrate your abundant goodness in the Sukkah and sing joyously of your beneficence. God is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger, and abounding in kindness. And from here we go to Rabbi for the final farewell bracha.
May you have many opportunities to learn from one another. May you sit in the walls of this temporary time, be they physical walls, or as the psalm would suggest, you can actually use an elephant as one of the walls, or metaphorical walls. That you take the time in this week to go out into a place where you can be conscious of the incredible beauty and the incredible fragility of our lives, and bring that with you to your sweet, clean new page, and dip your pen in the ink of your color of choice, mine's green, and start to write whatever it is that you wish to be blessed with this year. And may your writing become indelible, and may it inform the whole of your year, so that when we come back to Sukkot, your page will be covered with the green or the purple or the pink of your hopes fulfilled. And may this be a time of great happiness for all. Chag Sameach.